Good morning, ma'am. Title, Physical Evidence and Chain of Custody, Lesson 2. Lesson objective, number 1, discuss the ways to collect physical evidence and trace evidence. Number 2, identify ways in a proper tagging and labeling of evidence. Presented by Barlis Charlan Kaliwag, Section 3, CRI-A18, presented to Elinita G. Cuenca. First is how to collect physical evidence and chain of custody. There are 5 steps in collecting evidence. There are documents and photograph the evidence, and then properly secure the evidence by placing in a proper bag or envelope. And third, close, seal, or tape the paper bag or envelope. The examiner must write written initial date and time across the sealed area. And four, label the bag or envelope with the patient identify information. And 5, examiner must place signature date and time on the envelope. Next is differences between physical evidence and tracing evidence. Physical evidence. To analyze the physical evidence, forensic chemistry draws on chemistry principles and concepts, investigating the physical and chemical properties of some of substances is central to forensic chemistry. Without an appreciation to these properties and scientific method, forensic chemistry would not be possible. Differences between physical evidence and tracing evidence. Physical evidence. to analyze to analyze physical evidence, forensic chemistry draws on chemistry principles and concepts. Investigating the physical and chemical properties of substances is central to forensic chemistry. Without an appreciation for these properties and the scientific method, forensic chemistry would not be possible. And trace evidence. Important factors to follow with tracing evidence. First is prevent, and second, preserve, and third, maintain. In a criminal and civil law, the term that refers to the order in which items of evidence have been handled during the investigation of a case, providing that an item has been properly handled through an unbroken is required for it legal consider is evidence in the court. And next, describe what will happen if the collected evidence were contaminated by your own hair, saliva, and fingerprint. In contaminated by the evidence, all pieces of evidence collected at the crime scene should be tagged. If the item cannot be tagged, then I should be labeled or marked. Consistency should always adhere to inform use for marking and labeling. The evidence tagging is useful part of the evidence collection process because it accesses information directly into the item to eliminate confusion. Each police department has its prepared procedure for tagging evidence, but it's essential to remain consistent with each cases. How to proper chain of custody. What does it that chain of custody establish? First is who had contact with the evidence. Second, the date and time the evidence was handled. Third is circumstances for the evidence being handled. And fourth, what change if any were made in evidence. In court, the chain of custody documentation is presented by the prosecution in order to prove that the item of evidence is in a fact related to the alleged crime and that had been in the possession of defendant. To establish reasonable doubt of guilt, the defense looks for holes or fact, acts, or mishandling in the chain of custody to show, for example, the item that the item may be have been fraudulently planted to make the accused person appear a guilt. A chain of custody in a criminal cases might be a police officer collect a gun at the crime scene and places in the sealed container. Second, the police officer gives the gun to a police forensic technician. The forensic technician removes the gun from the container, collect fingerprints and other evidence present on weapon, and places the gun along with the evidence collected from it back into sealed container. The forensic technician gives the gun-related evidence to a police evidence technician. And again, presented by Barlis Charlan Kaliwag, Section 3, 33A18, presented to Elinita G. Cuenca, and